We appreciate you joining us on this Monday as you've gone through the weekend. And our top story today is Invest 94L. Turning in the Atlantic, our focus continues on the tropics as we've got to watch the season closely as we have seen what has happened thus far. There it is, Invest 94L. What could be the next major tropical threat of the season is revving up. In fact, the Caribbean and the Bahamas, well, they need to stay on alert because we're expecting Invest 94L to gain some strength, and we're watching the direction that it goes. That all plays heavily into what happens with this. We could see some strengthening with this by the end of the week. So let's talk about this. Coming off the Cabo Verde Islands right about there, a reminder for you, Invest 94L. Invest means we're investigating this area. The numbers are 90 through 99, and then they rotate. We're at 94, and L because it's in the Atlantic Basin. Taking a closer look at this and dissecting this storm as far as what we know right now, all of the area that you see in orange is where we could see some development. And notice there's Puerto Rico, you've got the Dominican Republic, you've got Haiti as well. Potential development, 40% in the next 7 days. A lot working for it and a lot working against it. So there's a lot of questions at this hour, which is why we've got to keep a close eye on it. We've got some light scattered showers in and around the area there. They're few and far between, but nonetheless, that's what we're watching. As we look to see what's going on here, we look at the ingredients. Do we have low wind shear? No, we don't. In fact, on the southern side of that, strong winds working against the formation of the storm at this hour. That could change as we go through the coming days. As far as high moisture, we need a lot of moisture in place there, right? All of the green sits well down to the south, closer to the ITC, and where we've got this area of high pressure, dry air starts to swing in from the north. So high moisture, nope. Two things working against it for now. What we do have working in its favor is the warmer temperatures, and these have been record temperatures that we have seen back-to-back years as far as seasons. So yes, it has some very warm water to contend with. In fact, temperatures are in the 80s and mid to upper 80s at that. You just need it to be 80 degrees or so. The cooler water where the 70s are, it's up to the north, and it's not going in that direction right now. We're watching this go to the west based on the steering mechanisms. What are those steering mechanisms? We'll take a look at this. We got that area of high pressure to the north that we talked about, giving you the hot or the drier air moving into the northern side of Invest 94L. As we watch, two areas of high pressure start to build just to the north of Invest 94L. That helps to steer this off to the west-southwest. Now, if it continues with this trajectory west-southwest, it has a better chance of formation. Having said that, there's some air with it that's a little moist, but all around it, it's in its own little bubble. All the darker colors you see all around it, that's the drier air working against it. Now, as it continues to move to the west-northwest, we watch to see what happens, because as far as those stronger winds, they're not real strong yet. They are well over portions of Miami. That's where the stronger winds are that will pull this thing apart. So it has some light hostile winds above that. As we go through Saturday and into Sunday, it moves closer to Cuba, just north of there. On the fringe here, we've got some better environmental conditions for it to happen. The hostile winds stay well to the north of there. It taps into some more moisture, and it's still over some very warmer waters. Tracking Invest 94L as we look through the week ahead. Here's a look at all of the computer models, and a lot of them do take it close to the Lesser Antilles. After that, you'll notice the playing field basically opens up because of the uncertainty with it. So we could see some heavy rain over portions of the Lesser Antilles. As far as the names are concerned, the next one on the list would be Nadine. We just went through Milton, of course. Leslie and Kurt were a couple of storms that just kind of did nothing for us. It was Helene that was a big story. In fact, Isaac was also another nothing story for us. Nadine and Oscar would be the two next storms, and we'll stay up to date on this one as we watch the tropics. We have plenty of time left. And an incoming ridge of high pressure, typically this month, threatening to bring some explosive activity to tropics as we go through the month. As we take a look at what's been going on, the yellow areas that you see here is where we could see some development as we go through the week ahead. This is this time of year where you've got all the dry or the warmer waters over portions of the Atlantic. The Atlantic current's pretty warm there. Also portions of the Western Caribbean dealing with that. And we've got a couple of fronts that keep coming off of the western half or the eastern half of the lower 48. That's always helpful, right? Because all of that energy comes through, swings through, and starts to move a lot of this out of the area here. When we take a look at the tropics for the next couple of weeks and the week ahead, notice that front that comes off of the eastern seaboard. Got all of that energy bumping up into that, and a lot of that bumps up into portions of the Western Caribbean, and that's where the moisture stays. The dry air stays on the back side of that. High pressure continues to build over portions of the south and southeast, and that's going to keep temperatures really cold there as we do recovery efforts. The tropical system can form in a favorable environment to the south of there, right where that front is, so we've got to watch this area because, of course, that, if anything forms there, could go into the Gulf of Mexico. So the Gulf of Mexico is certainly one area to watch for us. We'll watch closely as you take a look at what's going on into the next coming days, and you'll see here a stalling front and a stalling system could give us some formation here. So we watch these closely as these areas of high pressure continue to build over portions of the eastern U.S. As far as those stalling fronts and giving us a chance for formation, that's something we want to watch closely here. As far as the next systems as we watch, the hurricanes for the season, we've had 13 hurricanes so far. 7. This is through since 2019. We've got 6 of them making landfall. And then when we talk about those major categories, category 3 or above, we've had 7 of them. Again, this goes back all the way to 2019. So as we watch and the season continues, we've still got plenty of time to work with. We move on into portions of the Gulf. And taking a look at the green, though, those are the storms from 2020, a pretty active season as well. 2019, look at that. We've had the one that went over into the Gulf of Mexico, made landfall there. So it's been one of those couple of years where we've been watching these closely. Now, when you take a look at late October tropical activity zones, high system or high chance for probability over portions of the Western Caribbean, and we've been watching those closely. You can see over portions of the Atlantic where we've got a couple of pockets of hot air, rather with some very warm water, temperatures in the 80s, or that's an area to watch for development as well. So we watch really closely into the month of October, because remember, the season goes right through October and into November, the end of November. And so we'll watch what happens through, because we've still got plenty of time to work with. And when you think about just how warm the waters are, that's a major concern for us.